Hey everyone, welcome back to Insight Lab. I'm Andy, and today we're talking about something that's probably been on your mind if you're a clinician or practice owner. How do you actually build, pilot, and scale an AI tool for mental health work? Not the theoretical stuff, not the hype, the real process from idea to working tool to something that actually scales in clinical practice. I'm coming at this from a unique angle. I'm a clinical psychologist currently finishing my PhD, and I'm also the founder of an AI company building tools for psychological assessment. So I've been in the trenches on both sides, the clinical side and the tech side, and here's what I've learned. Building AI for mental health isn't just about the technology. It's about understanding the clinical workflow, the ethical constraints, the regulatory environment, and most importantly, how clinicians actually work. So let's break this down into 3 phases: build, pilot, and scale. Start with a real clinical problem. First things first, don't build AI for the sake of AI. Start with a problem you actually have in your practice. For me, it was psychological report writing. I was spending 4-6 hours per assessment writing comprehensive reports. The clinical work, the testing, the observations, the clinical judgment, that's the valuable part. But the documentation, that's where I was losing time. So ask yourself, what's eating up your time that doesn't require your clinical expertise? Where are you doing repetitive work that follows a pattern? Map your workflow first, code second. Here's where most people mess up. They jump straight into building the tech. Don't do that. Instead, map out your entire clinical workflow. I mean everything. What data comes in, what format, what's the decision tree you follow, what are the edge cases. For psychological assessments, I had to break down what domains am I evaluating, what's the logic for interpreting scores, what's the structure of a comprehensive report, what varies by referral question versus what's standardized. This is where your clinical expertise matters most. The AI is only as good as the clinical logic you build into it. Choose your architecture. Modular is king. When you're actually building, think modular from day one. Don't try to build one massive AI that does everything. Break your tool into domains or modules. For psychological assessments, I created separate schemas for cognitive domains, adaptive behavior, emotional functioning, and so on. Each module handles its specific domain, and then they all come together. Why modular? Because it's easier to troubleshoot, easier to update, and way more scalable. If one module needs refinement, you don't have to rebuild the entire system. HIPAA compliance is non-negotiable. Let me be very clear. If you're handling protected health information, you need HIPAA-compliant infrastructure from the start, not later, from the start. This means secure cloud storage, encryption at rest and in transit, proper access controls, business associate agreements with any vendors, and a clear data handling policy. Don't cut corners here. The legal and ethical risks are massive. Work with HIPAA-compliant platforms, get your security architecture reviewed, and document everything. Prompt engineering is your secret weapon. Here's something most people don't talk about. The quality of your AI output is 80% about your prompts, not the AI model itself. I spend months refining what I call my conditioning schemas, detailed prompts that give the AI context, structure, constraints, and clinical guidelines. These schemas tell the AI exactly how to interpret data, what clinical language to use, what red flags to watch for. Your prompts should include clinical context, output structure, style guidelines, ethical constraints, and examples of what good output looks like. Test them obsessively. Refine them constantly. This is where your clinical knowledge becomes code. Start small. Your own cases. First, don't launch to other clinicians immediately. Use your own cases first. I ran my AI tool on my own assessments for months before letting anyone else touch it. This let me catch errors, refine the output, and understand the tool's limitations intimately. Run cases through your AI tool, then review every single output line by line. Compare it to what you would have written manually. Where does it shine? Where does it miss nuance? The supervisor test. Once you're confident with your own cases, the next gate is your clinical supervisor or a trusted senior colleague. For me, every AI-generated report had to be reviewed and approved by my clinical supervisor. This wasn't just about quality control, it was about building credibility and ensuring clinical defensibility. If your supervisor spots patterns of errors or concerns, that's invaluable feedback for refinement. Don't skip this step. Document your validation process. Keep detailed notes on your pilot phase. What cases did you run? What worked? What didn't? What refinements did you make? This documentation serves multiple purposes. It helps you improve the tool, it demonstrates due diligence for potential users, and it becomes the foundation for research or validation studies later. If you're planning to publish research on your tool or seek broader adoption, this pilot data is gold. Get RB approval if you're going academic. If you're affiliated with a university or planning to do research, get ERB approval before you pilot with real clients. Frame it as a quality improvement study or tool validation study. This protects you legally and opens doors for academic publication, which adds massive credibility to your tool. Iterate based on real clinical feedback. During the pilot, you'll discover things you never anticipated: edge cases, unusual presentations, situations where the AI's output needs human judgment.
Built-in mechanisms for clinician override and customization. Your tool should augment clinical judgment, not replace it. If a clinician needs to manually adjust something, make that easy and trackable.
Define your target market clearly. Okay, your tool works. Now, how do you scale? First, get crystal clear on who this is for. Don't say all mental health professionals. That's too broad. For me, it's psychologists and neuropsychologists who do educational and diagnostic psychological assessments. That's specific, that's targetable. Who has the exact problem you're solving? Where do they hang out? What conferences do they attend? What Facebook groups? What professional organizations? Pricing strategy, value-based, not cost-based. Don't price based on what it costs you to run the tool. Price based on the value you're creating. If your tool saves a clinician 4 hours per report and they bill at $150 an hour, you're creating $600 of value per report. You can charge a fraction of that and still deliver massive ROI. Think about pricing models: per report pricing, subscription tiers, enterprise licensing for group practices. Test different models during your pilot. Build trust through education. Most clinicians are skeptical of AI, and rightfully so. Your job is to educate, not just sell. Create content that teaches clinicians about AI, ethical use, how your tool works, what it can and can't do. Videos, blog posts, webinars, conference talks. Position yourself as the expert clinician who understands both the clinical work and the tech. That's your unique value proposition. Start with your network. Don't try to scale globally on day one. Start with colleagues, classmates, people in your doctoral program, supervisors, professional connections. These early adopters will give you testimonials, case studies, and word-of-mouth referrals. They're also more forgiving of early bugs or limitations. Once you have 10, 20 happy users, ask them to refer others. Clinicians trust other clinicians. Plan for customer success. Scaling isn't just about getting new users, it's about keeping them successful. Build onboarding processes, training materials, support systems. Make sure users know how to use your tool effectively and ethically. Check in regularly, ask for feedback, make improvements based on what real users need, regulatory and legal strategy. As you scale, you'll need proper business infrastructure, LLC or incorporation, professional liability insurance, clear terms of service, privacy policies, and potentially FDA guidance depending on your tool's claims. Consult with healthcare attorneys, understand the regulatory landscape. Don't make claims you can't substantiate. Look, building, piloting, and scaling an AI mental health tool is not easy. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you start with a real clinical problem, build with modular architecture and strong clinical logic, pilot rigorously with your own cases, and scale strategically through education and trust building, you can create something that genuinely helps clinicians and ultimately serves clients better. The key is never losing sight of the clinical work. AI is a tool. You're the clinician, your judgment, your ethics, your expertise. That's what matters. If you're building something in this space or thinking about it, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you're working on. And if you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button. I share more insights on AI, psychology, and building at the intersection of both. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.